Welcome to the Event Answer Studio. I'm making this Link balloon arch and I'll show you how to prepare it for an inside as well as an outside event. Link balloons have this special tail on the opposite end so that we can tie these balloons end to end in long chains. I'm going to inflate 2 of these 12-inch Link balloons until they're nearly their full size, and then using a sizer box, size them to 9 inches in diameter by pressing the balloon against the hole and slowly letting air out until it just fits through. Once they're both 9 inches in diameter, I'm going to tie them into a pair, pulling the nozzles tight so that the round portions of the balloons touch, then wrap the nozzles around twice and tie them in a simple knot. These 2 balloons being tied tightly together is key to the structure of the arch. Make a second pair in the exact same way, and then I'm going to tie them end to end using the tail ends of those Link balloons, pulling them snug together so that the round portions touch, and then tying the tails in a double knot. This will give me a chain of 4 Link balloons. Then I'm going to curl this around and take the 2 tails on either end and tie those together. This will create a ring of 4 balloons and will be the main building block of our arch. In total, you'll need 25 of these rings, and I've divvied up those 25 into my 3 different colors. To join the elements of the arch together, I'm going to be using 5-inch balloon pairs. Now you can inflate these using a hand pump, but because there's so many of them, I recommend using an electric balloon inflator that can inflate them to the exact same size each time. I'm inflating these to 4 inches in diameter before tying them into a pair by wrapping the nozzle around twice and tying them in a knot. Every pair I make is going to have 2 balloons of the same color. In total, you'll need 100 pairs, which I've split up between my 3 colors. Now I'm going to take my ring of Link balloons and 4 of my 4-inch balloon pairs and slip one of those pairs into the center of the ring and then pull it out towards the edge of the ring so that the nozzles of that balloon pair are touching one of the knots between the Link balloons. I'm going to place one of my 4-inch pairs in each of those places where the Link balloons meet. This preparation step will make our final assembly go so much faster once we're on site for our event. I'm going to repeat this step with all of the Link rings that we made earlier, making sure the 4-inch balloon pairs are all the same color as the ring that I'm attaching them to. Now before we make the chain section of the arch, we need to decide how we want to assemble it. For an inside event, it's best to inflate and tie together 4 long chains, 1 for each side of the arch. This is the fastest way to assemble the arch, but you do have to have a large area where you can lay the balloons flat on the floor. For an outside event, it's better to pre-assemble sections of the arch and then transport it on site so you don't have to lay anything on the ground. This is the method I'll be using, so instead of making long chains, I'm only making chains of 4 balloons each, and that will be 1 section of the arch at a time. The first section is all inflated to 9 inches in diameter. No matter which route you decide to go, this is how you will assemble the arch. Take your first ring and place it between the first and second balloon of your balloon chain. You're going to slip the knot of that Link chain between the 2 4-inch balloons, and then take the 2 4-inch balloons and twist them around each other, capturing that Link chain between them. This will secure the 2 pieces together. Rotate the balloon ring over to the next 4-inch pair and slip the second chain between these 2 4-inch balloons just like we did the first, making sure you twist those 4-inch balloons around the knot of that new chain, capturing it between them. I'm going to repeat this step until all 4 of my chains are attached to this first ring. Move up the balloon chain and secure the second ring between the second and third Link balloons in those chains, making sure the knots of the Link balloon sit between the 4-inch balloon pair. As I continue to join my rings to the chains, I want to take a moment and let you know there's a set of written plans to go along with this project. They include detailed step-by-step instructions, full color illustrations, as well as a complete supply list. I also break down both methods for assembling this arch for an inside as well as an outside event. You can find a link to these plans and many more included in our Pro Bundle for our professional balloon artist audience, linked in the description box below. As I attach the third ring to this first section of balloons, this will complete the straight side of our arch. I'm going to make 2 of these, and that will give us the height before the arch starts to curve. I've broken the entire arch down into 6 sections that are made up of chains of 4 Link balloons that include 3 rings each. To make a curved section of the arch, I'm going to inflate 4 Link balloons to 7 inches in diameter and tie them into chains of 4. To make it curve, you'll need to have 2 of these chains that are 7 inches in diameter and 2 chains that are 9 inches in diameter. Starting with the 7-inch chain, I'm going to attach it to the ring just like we did the previous section. The critical factor here is that the two 7-inch chains have to be placed right next to each other to make the inside curve of our arch. Then the two 9-inch chains have to be side by side with each other, and that will make up the outside curve of our arch. Once all 4 of these chains are attached to the first ring, it's critical when you move to the second ring that you don't accidentally skip over balloons in those 7-inch chains. Because they're smaller, the ring will begin to angle, and it's easy to accidentally skip over one when they don't line up perfectly with the 9-inch balloons right next to it. As I attach the third ring, that will complete this curved section. Now in total, I'm making 4 of these curved sections to make up the upper portion of my arch. Each of those sections are identical to the one I've shown you here, apart from its color combination. I'm fading from violet to lilac to white for my arch, but you could use any color combination you like. For our arch to be able to stand, we need to add weight to the bottom. For an inside setup, water weights will be just fine. Simply tie 1 water weight to each link balloon on either end of the arch. An outside setup though will require a lot more support. I'm using heavy metal bases from my backdrop stand that I've added some wire loops to each corner and covered with a 260 balloon and taped them on the back so they don't shimmy around. I'm going to tie my links to these loops and then attach a pole to these bases that will go up the center of the rings on each side of my arch so it won't sway in the wind. For this event, I had to build the arch in its final location, so I've placed the bases about 9 feet apart, set one of my rings down on top of the plate, and set a straight section of arch directly on top of it. Then I'm going to take the tail end of the last balloon in that section and tie each tail to one of those loops in a double knot. Then I'm going to take a 4-inch pair of the rings sitting on the base plate and stretch those 2 balloons around the knot that I just tied and twist them around each other. I did this for all 4 corners on each side of the arch. By doing this, that'll join not only the ring to the balloon section and the base, but it will give the entire arch more stability. And stability is key when setting up balloons outside. This was for an evening event, and there was a breeze of 10 to 15 mile-an-hour winds happening the entire event. To join the arch sections together, place 1 ring on top of the straight section and then set the curved section right on top of that, making sure the 2 7-inch chains are facing the direction you want your arch to curve. Tie the link balloon tails in a double knot to the section below it. Do this on all 4 corners and then take the 4-inch balloons from that ring in the middle and twist them around the knots that you just created. This process is much easier if you can lay the entire arch flat on the ground, but because this was brick and I didn't want to mar up any of my balloons, I tied all of this together with the arch standing. This isn't the most ideal way to show you how to do this, but it is possible and it's made a lot easier if you have another person there to help hold the balloons in place. For an inside event, what you can do is create 4 long chains for the arch, 2 that are all 9-inch and 2 that are a combination of 9-inch and 7 inches. Starting at the end of those chains, attach your rings just like I showed earlier, making sure those 7-inch chains are on the inside edge of the arch. Then you can quickly move through placing those rings while the arch lays on the floor, and in a matter of 15 to 20 minutes, you can have the entire thing tied together. For my outdoor setup, I was on site for about an hour, and that included getting everything unloaded, setting up the arch, and then tying it to the 2 street poles right next to the arch for some added support. These 2 poles were conveniently located right next to the arch, and because the wind was so much, I decided to take 260 modeling balloons, tie 2 to 3 of them end to end, and loop them through one corner of my arch and then around that street pole. I did this in 3 different places up each side of my arch, and then I felt I could leave the site confidently knowing the arch would still be there the next morning. If you enjoyed this project, you should check out this video. And until the next time, remember, stay creative, everybody!